Now, WBOC News at 6, Delmarva's news leader.
This is what a 55-mile-an-hour wind gust can do, knocking over a tractor trailer on the Bay Bridge and forcing it into a guardrail. Stronger gusts along the coast in Sussex County have toppled trees, billboards, and even buildings under construction. And that wind is pushing water up and over riverbanks, including the Choptank River in Cambridge. And in low-lying areas like Crisfield, no stranger to flooding, heavy rain and high tide bring more high water.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Hammond.
And I'm Paul Butler. This is WBOC News at 6. We're keeping tabs on this big storm over Delmarva, and to keep you up to date, you'll see closings running along the bottom of your screen.
Here's a look at where our crews are this evening. We have the entire peninsula covered with the very latest on this winter storm.
But first, let's check in on what's going on outside and what can we expect tonight. Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield joins us from the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Dan?
Paul, Steve, the winds just continue to howl out there and heavy rain continues to fall as well. Within the last few minutes, we're still seeing gusts on the coast to over 60 miles an hour. As we go through the evening, the winds will start to diminish after about 11 o'clock very slowly. We'll still see some gusts to over 60. A moderate coastal flood event tonight. That will occur between 3 and 4 a.m. on the East Coast. This is going to be a close call. The waters may get close to severe flooding potential, and we could see a brief band of heavy snow tonight, although the more I look at everything, I think now that is probably a very low threat. Here's a look at radar. The radar is continuing to indicate, by the way, that we're seeing a mix, but we're really not. There's some warm air. See right in that purple there? That is supposedly a mix, but it's all rain. Some warmer air is coming in from the Atlantic, and that's in the mid-levels of the storm. And that's even changed the snow to rain over on the other side of the bay. Temperatures will dip into the mid-30s, maybe even the low 30s briefly. The winds will continue to gust all night long, and we also have a peak alert for those of you on the Delaware and Choptank Electric Cooperatives from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. this evening. I'll have more in just a bit.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. Boy, the wind is causing big problems. The Bay Bridge is closed in both directions. Take a look what a strong wind gust can do. This was about 2 o'clock this afternoon. The westbound span of the Bay Bridge, officials say a 55-mile-an-hour wind gust ripped the fabric alongside this tractor trailer and almost acted like a kite, lifting the truck up and onto its side and into the guardrail there. Still no word on the condition of the driver, but the Bay Bridge does remain closed at this hour because of the high winds, and we'll let you know once the Bay Bridge is reopened.
Those high winds are causing problems for drivers all over Delmarva tonight. It's like in Sussex County, where the Indian River Inlet Bridge was closed after water began washing over the roadway leading up to the bridge. Now that's where we find WBOC's Tony Hurst with more on the windy, wet conditions along the coast.
Here on Route 1 in Dewey Beach, the conditions right now, it's rainy, it's windy, the wind is pretty strong. You can see it's actually pushing me back right now. Now, the road is closed off right here from this side of the Indian River Bridge to Route 1. These trucks are not here for snow. They're actually here to block the road off. So you can see the wind is kind of crazy out here, but again, the Route 1 is blocked off from here to the other side over in Bethany Beach, so you can't get through here. But again, it's rainy, it's windy, the conditions. And also, we're told by DelDOT that there was some water. I just lost my hat, but there's some water that actually flew over, that came over to the roads and flooded the roads, so the roads are shut down as well. Right now, reporting in Dewey Beach, Tony Hurst, WBOC News.
Yeah, Route 1 always getting that water washing up over the beach and across the roadway, so problems there. Sussex County also seeing the strongest winds on the peninsula from this storm. A 71-mile-an-hour wind gust was recorded at the ferry terminal in Lewis this afternoon. A 68-mile-an-hour gust recorded in Rehoboth Beach. WBOC Sussex County Bureau Chief Joe Buno has moved inland to Georgetown, where the gusts aren't quite as high, but Joe, those winds along the coast certainly have caused some damage today.
Steve, the rain just started picking up again here in Georgetown, and the winds, yes, they are still howling. Now, further east towards Lewis, these are the same winds that caused damage and power outages. Torrential rains and relentless winds, a combination powerful enough to destroy these billboards off of Route 1 near Lewis, and this home under construction in Milton. Still, some in Sussex County aren't impressed.
It's a normal storm. Yep. It's just real windy.
Even Therese Posey, who had to work through the storm, wasn't complaining.
I got this coat. I got a hoodie on, and I got my hat on, so I'm fine like this.
Others, like Larry Delasanti, were awestruck.
This is worse than a hurricane, I think, that we had This wind's pretty strong.
Sussex County authorities have closed off several roads here along Route 1, and here's why. If you take a look behind me, you can see the sheer force of this storm has snapped a power pole. That's what's knocked out power to so many businesses along Route 1.
They're kind of, you know, there you go.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. So, up. And we're back.
Owner of Pat's Pizzeria in Lewis, Alex Kotonitis, says his business took a hit when he lost power and was forced to cancel several lunch orders.
So you can't really fight Mother Nature. And it's just one of the things that comes with doing business.
The storm threw off the plans of a lot of people in Sussex County, but when asked about their plans for the rest of the night, everyone was on the same page.
Staying and watching TV.
And everyone that we did speak to today said that they had plans to stay indoors tonight. And Steve, as for me, I'm looking forward to getting into some dry clothing and a nice home-cooked meal for me later on tonight. And until then, live in Sussex County, Joe Buno, WBOC, Georgetown.
Mother Nature is also leaving its mark in Kent County. Residents like Pat Sarman, who live in Kitts Hummock, say she loves living on the beach. She says the storm woke her up around 3 this morning and is concerned that a lack of dunes will leave her home unprotected.
Since they're not replenishing our beaches down there, we don't have the dune to protect our homes. And so that's very worrisome.
Pat Sarman says this is her second beach home. The first one was destroyed 5 years ago by that Mother's Day storm in 2008 in Kent County.
A tragic story may be developing right now off the coast. Some 15 miles off the coast of Assateague, the Coast Guard right now is searching for 2 men who are missing from a disabled fishing boat. The 67-foot seafarer sent out a distress call to the Coast Guard about 10:30 this morning. When the Coast Guard helicopter arrived on scene, they found 1 person in a life raft. 2 others are still missing. The search is continuing at this hour. Meantime, other boat captains forced to return early from their fishing trips to Chincoteague because of the high winds and rough seas. Another fishing boat traveling to New York was forced to dock into Chincoteague because of the weather.
One of the other big concerns during storms like this, power outages. Officials at Delmarva Power say crews are in full force and ready to make the repairs as needed. WBOC's Karina Paiza is with us in the Newsplex. And Karina, there weren't any major power outages today, but that could change, though, in the coming hours.
Right, and we have actually seen changes so far. Now, Delmarva Power tells me with a storm like this, the major concern, of course, is wind. Now, they've seen some trees and branches coming down onto power lines, and that's the major reason for the outages that we're now experiencing. Now, they're focused in those orange areas that you see there. That's where the majority of outages are right now. And really, it's concentrated to Worcester County and Sussex County. Taking a look at the numbers as we look at Delmarva Power's outage map. In Berlin, about 1,200 customers are without power right now. That's the same story in Ocean City, about 1,200. And in Sussex County right now, Rehoboth Beach seems to be the most affected area with about 1,300 customers without power. Elsewhere, not doing too bad right now, but we're definitely keeping an eye on those areas where wind is a huge factor. And we do want to provide a safety reminder. If you happen to come across downed power lines, report it to the power company immediately. You want to stay away from downed lines. And if you happen to have an outage, call the power company, not 911. Steve.
All right, Karina Paiza, thanks. A reminder that WBOC streams our newscast live online, so if you lose power, we're still right here, whether it's on your laptop, computer, your iPad, or your smartphone. WBOC's mobile app is available for all Apple, Android, and BlackBerry products. Download the WBOC TV 16 Delmarva News Leader app, and when you click on the app, you'll see this home screen with icons at the bottom. Click on More right there, and then select Live Newsplex. You'll get this pop-up. Simply click Yes to get to the streaming site. And just like that, you have WBOC broadcast on your mobile device.
Folks in Somerset County are no stranger to floods, especially during storms like this one. Now, today's downpour caused plenty of roads to flood, making it difficult for cars to pass. Some parts of Crisfield still look like a ghost town after Hurricane Sandy. Those who have stuck around are continuing to rebuild and are staying prepared for wet weather like today.
And it takes a lot of psychological adjustments. Sometimes I just say, forget it, I'm not doing anything today. I need a breather. I just can't deal with it today. Then I'll come back and start the process all over again.
If a need arises for shelter, county officials say they will use a school to house anyone in need in Crisfield.
To Dorchester County now. Boy, the wind was really whipping up the Choptank River. Folks there in Dorchester hunkering down. WBOC's Midshore Bureau Chief Stephen Fisher shows us how people there are riding out the storm.
We found the Choptank River spewing over the bulkhead at the Cambridge Marina. Crew members are scrambling to tie down the 120 boats docked here.
We just walk the docks, just check all the boats, make sure all their lines are set, make sure there's no frayed lines that may snap if any kind of wind comes up.
Dockmaster Scott Fitzhugh is watching the weather and the waves. He says high tide is a big concern.
We shut the power off to every dock in the marina, which in turn we have to keep an even more keen eye on the boats because their pumps, they're working by power. So when you cut the power off, they're working under battery. If they start running a lot, those batteries wind down, then you start having issues.
Dave Ferguson of Cambridge made a last-ditch effort to try and secure his boat. He says the best thing you can do is to tie it down as tight as you can.
I always come down when there's a storm like this. Usually I get down here ahead of time and put extra lines. It never hurts to double lines up on your boat.
Mother Nature can be unpredictable. That's why it never hurts to be well prepared. Reporting from the Midshore, Stephen Fisher, WBOC News, Cambridge.
We're continuing our coverage of this massive nor'easter still bearing down on Delmarva, and on this crazy weather day, the harder it blows, the harder it goes. Charlie takes a philosophical look at wind power in tonight's Travelers.
Also with this wild weather, we're learning more about a strange new allergy that's popping up, an allergy to cold weather. And we'll explain how one woman really struggles during the winter. That and more as WBOC News at 6 rolls on this stormy evening. But first, we are proud to serve Bethany Beach and proud to serve all of Sussex County.
With more on Bethany Beach, here's WBOC's John Trout in Chopper 16.
The town of Bethany Beach in Sussex County is one of Delmarva's quiet beaches. It was founded in 1901 by the Christian Church as a site for camp meetings and summer retreats. The name was chosen in a national contest, and H.L. Atkinson, the winner, received an oceanfront lot as a prize. Getting here in the early days meant taking a train to Rehoboth and then a boat across the Rehoboth and Indian River Bays to the Bethany Loop of the Assawomet Canal, where you got off right next to the beach. The first boardwalk was built in 1903 and has been rebuilt 5 times since. The town was incorporated in 1909, and the population is about 950. WBOC is proud to serve Bethany Beach and all of Sussex County, and proud to partner with my friends at Johnny Janosic in Laurel and Dover. Did you know they have everything to complete your outdoor world? Experience a huge selection of in-stock and custom outdoor furniture at Johnny Janosic. And tell them WBOC's Flying Weatherman sent you. I'm meteorologist John Trout in Chopper 16.
You're watching WBOC News at 6 with Steve Hammond, Paul Butler, Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield, and Chopper 16, covering the entire peninsula for Delmarva's news leader.
You know, if you have allergies, you know how dangerous they can be. Well, imagine breaking out in hives every time you touch something cold. Now, doctors say you could be allergic to the cold.
That's crazy. WBOC's Denise Sawyer spoke with one woman in Wycomico County who's fighting this allergy every day.
Just like many other people, Amy Morris doesn't like the cold. But for Morris, it goes a step further.
I just would break out in hives and my hands would begin to swell, and my hands would swell so much that I wouldn't be able to write.
Because she has a rare condition.
I'm allergic to the cold.
It's called cold ototeria, which basically means cold hives.
They would send me home from school because they thought I was contagious.
Little is known about the allergy, and some doctors can't believe it exists.
Even medical professionals look at me strangely and like, you're allergic to the cold.
To test for it, doctors would tape an ice pack similar to this one, waiting for them to break out in hives.
It's not very common. I see 2, maybe 4 cases a year of this.
Allergist Kurt Watkins says reactions can get pretty bad.
Someone with this condition jumps in cold water, we worry about a more severe allergic reaction called anaphylaxis.
When asked how to treat this allergy, Dr. Watkins says,
bundle up. Antihistamines help this, so you can medicate ahead of time if you know you're going to have some exposure.
But there's good news. Watkins says you can grow out of this allergy. Reporting in Wycomico County, Denise Sawyer, WBOC News, Salisbury.
Doctors point out that a reaction like that can happen anytime that the body temperature takes a sharp dip.
Well, needless to say, it's been a wild day on weather, of course, here on Delmarva, as we take a look at the high waters at the Indian River Marina in Millsboro, Delaware.
And we are not finished with this storm yet. What's left? Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield has the answers when we come back. Dan Satterfield is back, and the silver lining from this storm, Dan, is that the temperatures tonight are not going to drop very low, so all of this stuff is not going to freeze.
As a matter of fact, looking at the late data, we're running a few degrees warmer than what the computer models were predicting, so I think the risk of snow is really lessening. We could still see a surprise band of snow tonight, but the main threat in this storm is the wind and the risk of coastal flooding later tonight. The next high tide on the coast will be the highest of this storm. There's radar right now. See the pink there to the west? The computer is estimating that there might be a little bit of mix in there, but I really don't think that is happening, and I haven't had no reports of that. We're getting warm air rotating around this storm in the mid-levels, about a mile high. That even changed the snow back to rain on the other side of the bay. But as this system moves on by later tonight, we may very well see the snow reappear. You can see here on the latest satellite and radar, there was a lot of snow earlier, but it's now just rain as warmer air comes in from the Atlantic. Now, the winds should start to die down in about 3 or 4 hours, but it's going to happen very, very slowly. We're still, in the last few minutes, had a gust to 55 miles an hour in Lewis. And on Route 1 from Lewis over toward the Milford area, I should say, right at the Broadkill Road, they just had a gust to 50 miles an hour. And Salisbury still getting gusts to gale force. On the coast down to the south, we're still seeing gusts, by the way, to 55 to 57 miles an hour at Assateague. Temperatures in the upper 30s out there right now. These are the sustained winds. 25 to 35, Cape May at 29, north at 36 in Dover, and some of the gusts here in the last little bit, 49 in Dover, 47 at Cape May. Earlier, about an hour ago, 66 at Lewis, 68 at Rehoboth, still gusting to 41 at Wallops Island. The computer models, though, do have a pretty good handle on this system now. The low will continue to move offshore. As it does so, our winds will slowly diminish. Could see a little band of snow tonight, but temperatures above freezing. The ground is warm. The road should be okay. The winds tomorrow will still be quite blustery, probably times over 40, but they won't be nearly as strong as today. And as the day goes on, they should begin to continue to diminish. Another system comes through and it might give us a few snowflakes on Friday. Not a big deal. Still a breezy day, by the way, on Friday. We won't see any sun around here, I think, until Saturday. But on Saturday into Sunday, it's going to start to feel like March again. Temperatures will really start to warm up. Some late computer model runs showing just a light coating over northwest parts of Delmarva tonight, and even this may very well not develop. So temperatures tonight briefly down to 32 from Milton over to Chestertown and Denton, 33 in Salisbury, Ocean City around 35. Those high winds, though, will hang around right on through the evening. And then tomorrow, a windy day, north wind 16 to 32, some morning gusts to over 40 near the water. Certainly possible, probably likely, and temperatures in the low 40s. As a matter of fact, Chestertown, you might not even see 40 tomorrow. Yes, a chance of some snow mixed with the rain. Georgetown around 33. Ocean City tomorrow afternoon, 43, north wind 18 to 36 miles per hour. Friday, a high of 45. Slight chance of a little sun, but I'm betting against that. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine, temperatures moderate up into the 50s. The nighttime lows should stay above freezing. And then on Monday, we'll start to cloud up, but a mostly sunny start to the day and up to 57 or 58. Mid-50s, a chance of some light showers on Tuesday, and we'll cool off a few degrees on Wednesday. But all of next week looks like March, not February. Paul.
Thank you, Dan. We know you'll keep an eye on those windy conditions. And speaking of wind, it has no hands, but it turns this wheel right there. Charlie will explain in tonight's travels. That's next on WBOC News at 6.
When the wind blows like it has today, you just batten down the hatches and wait for it to end.
But while you're waiting, it makes for some interesting observations collected by our wind-blown reporter, Charles Pepperell.
The wind has no voice, but we hear it. It has no hands, but it moves these leaves. So what is the wind? Well, the wind is energy. And although we talk about energy all the time, we don't really see it for what it is. Like the vanes on this windmill spinning so fast in one direction that they seem to go in the other direction, which we know they can't do. It's just an illusion, a funny coincidence between frame rates and rotational speeds. But there is in that spinning madness the essence of energy. It's not the wind and it's not the windmill. It's the interaction between the two. So we tend to think of energy as a quantity like barrels of oil, but that's not what it is. Energy is something that happens. Energy is the heat and light produced by a flame. It's not the oil, it's not the lamp. Energy is the heat and light from the sun. It's not the sun. If the sun didn't shine, it would still be the sun, but we would be frozen solid. You know, I wonder why, since the sun has forever risen and the wind forever blown, why solar and wind energy are such newfangled ideas. Maybe it's because you can't put either one in a barrel and get people to think of them as a commodity. Just watching the wind blow, this is Charles Paparella for WBOC News.
An update on the wind and the rain from Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield when we come back.
But first, coming up tonight in prime time on CBS, starting at 8, it's Survivor, then it's Criminal Minds and CSI Crime Scene Investigation. Don't forget, WBOC News at 11.
Quick update from the Bay Bridge now. The Bay Bridge is open to cars only. They're still not letting trucks pass, but the Bay Bridge is open in both directions to cars.
Okay, for the rest of the night, what are we looking
the
at?
winds will slowly diminish. Here are the latest gusts: 49 Dover, 39 Salisbury. We just had a gust of 56 at Lewis, and earlier, about an hour and a half ago, above 65 at Rehoboth Beach. As we go through the day tomorrow, the winds slowly diminish. It'll stay chilly. The weekend, though, does look a lot better. We'll start to warm up with sunshine Saturday and Sunday, and probably for a good chunk of Monday. I want to show you the tides, though. On Delaware Bay and on the East Coast, those next tides you see are the next high tides. That will be the highest tide of the storm. In Ocean City, that's going to occur between 4 and 5 a.m. Same thing at Indian River and on down towards Chincoteague as well.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us here for the news at 6. For news anytime, get it now on WBOC.com.
CBS Evening News is next, and we'll see you back here in 30 minutes for the WBOC News at 7.